episode, I put together some clips of when we took Squadoggery out on a day that we probably shouldn't have, and some clips of me giving her a bit of TLC. At the end of last year, when the days were getting shorter, sailing her in the evenings when Liam had finished work was no longer an option. Every other Sunday we were racing on Takazar, and on the other weekends it was low tide days, so we couldn't get out of the harbour. That meant that we could literally only sail Squadoggery every other Saturday. So when a day came along where it was high tide and daylight, we were both free and it wasn't raining, we decided to go out sailing. Although, when I say we, I mean I. Liam didn't really want to go out sailing. He said he felt too tired, but I convinced him to, saying we just don't know when we'll next be able to go out. From this video, you would think it looks like a lovely day for sailing with the sunny blue skies, but don't be fooled. I hadn't quite realised how big the swell was. I didn't realise the marine drive had been closed due to waves crashing over onto the road. This is the marine drive for those not local to Barbados. We got out the berth and the harbour okay, but putting the mainsail up was where things got difficult. It wasn't particularly easy to hoist Squadoggery's mainsail with 2 crew on a day in perfect conditions, let alone big swell. This was because she had a hank-on mainsail, meaning the sail isn't kept attached to the boom, so the sail had to be manually fed through the tracks on the mast. The sail was too thick to fit through the sail feeder, so I had to stand at the mast and feed the sail into the track. Liam's job was to have one hand on the tiller, keeping us pointed into the wind, and one hand pulling the main halyard to hoist it. This was made harder by the fact that the boom was not self-supported. It relied on the mainsail being raised to hold it up off the deck. Sareda, our new yacht, has separate halyards, one for hoisting the main and one for holding the boom up, so the boom can be lifted without hoisting the sail. Takazar, the yacht we race on, has, I'm not entirely sure the correct term, a boom strut or kicker pole or something like that, but basically a pole which keeps the boom up. Squadoggery's lack of boom support meant the boom and sail lay on the deck covering all the sheets, making it harder for Liam to hoist the sail. In this photo, you can see the pole that holds Takazar's boom up. So far, this is the most stressful sail we've done. Well, I wasn't that stressed, but Liam said it was the most stressed he'd ever been in his life. Up until this point, every time we'd gone sailing, there'd been a southerly or southwesterly wind, but today it was northerly. This caused an issue because you need to be pointing into the wind to raise the mainsail, but we head out of the harbour in a southerly direction. This meant we had to motor across the bay, then turn around to face the harbour again to raise the mainsail. This turned out to be nearly impossible because the waves continually pushed us off course. They were also pushing us closer and closer to the beach, and without a depth sounder, we had no idea how shallow we were. Just to point out here, we were told that Squadoggery had a depth sounder, it just needed wiring in. Partly true, she did have a depth sounder, but it was just loose in the boat, not fixed into the hull. It took us about 15 minutes to raise the mainsail, where it would usually only take a minute or 2. Then we headed east and raised the jib. Less drama, but still not easy. Unlike many yachts with a roller furling system, Squadoggery's jib was also hank-on and often got caught when being hoisted, so it was my job to crawl to the bow in the choppy swell and help feed it upwards. I thought that I got a decent amount of footage of how bumpy a sail it was. We felt like we were being thrown around all over the place, but apparently I didn't. And disappointingly, the swell doesn't even look that big in this video. But in a 23-foot yacht, it was. The worst bit of the sail was when we were dropping the main to get back into the harbour. We were on a port tack, heading northeast into the harbour as we dropped the main. Liam was on the tiller, I was at the mast pulling the sail down. A big wave hit us and pushed the bow in a westerly direction, which caused an accidental jibe as the wind was now coming from our starboard side. The sudden direction change knocked me over, and I clung onto the shrouds to stop myself falling overboard. Poor Liam got hit on his jaw by the boom, and the force whipped his head round, which flung his favourite bobble hat into the sea. That's the second of his hats the North Sea has claimed. He had a small cut and a bruise on his jaw, but he was most upset about losing his hat. I spent the summer of 2019 working as a beach lifeguard. The plan had originally been to go travelling in September once the season ended, but at the end of August our plans changed, so I frantically searched for a job in the marine biology world. That's what my degree's in. And I got quite a few interviews, but I wasn't successful. So I had plenty of time on my hands to get some boat work done. As I mentioned in the first episode, Skullduggery was quite mouldy and dirty when we first bought her. And although she came with some pretty decent sails, she also came with quite a bit of junk, which we'd yet to go through. So when the weather was decent, I would come down and get some boat work done. Down at the harbour today, just doing a bit of work on Skullduggery, a bit of painting on the inside. It's a low tide day today, so I had to come out quite early this morning while the tide was still at mid tide, so I could row out. And now the tide has gone out, so my dinghy is beached. And I'm not going to be able to get back in again until the tide's back in. Still on its way out now. It's still got another hour to go out, so I'm going to be here for a while, but lots of time to get lots of work done. So I actually forgot to bring the camera down the first time I came down to start working on Skullduggery, so I only have some pictures to show you of how kind of mouldy and disgusting and dirty she was on the inside before I started doing any work. But you can see that this wall, I haven't painted it yet, still need to do, but down the other end, that's where I've cleaned and I've painted it white. Done all this wall, but the worst bit is yet to come. Down the back here, it's absolutely disgusting. So that's the next job after painting. I want to get this wall painted, get the ceiling painted, and then I'm going to work on the disgusting bit. Yay! I've now finished doing this wall. I'm ready to start on the ceiling. And so now it's time for some leftover pizza from last night. Keep having to keep an eye on the weather because it keeps changing. Earlier it said it was going to be sunny all day, then it said it's going to rain. Now it said it's just going to be cloudy afternoon, but I'm not sure. But I've got things in the cockpit, so I need to keep an eye. So I'm finally finished for the day. Pretty exhausted, my arms are aching from painting, my back's aching from bending over. I'm definitely ready for a bath, but I'm thinking that Squadrogrey looks pretty good at the moment. She's not 100% done. So I painted this wall, hung some ropes up, sorted the sails out from their bags, gave this box a bit of a tidy, just gave everywhere a bit of a tidy and a clean. Floor's kind of clean. Still just got the grossness of in there to go, but that is for another day. I thought I'd ask Liam to get some photos of Squadrogrey when we'd finally finished, because his phone has got a better camera on it than mine, but we can't find such photos, so you're just gonna have to imagine how good she looked when we'd finished hiding and cleaning her. We finally sold her at the beginning of March to some guys from Scarborough Yacht Club who planned to carry on fixing her up and race her. I do feel quite sorry for them though, because just a couple of weeks after they bought her, the UK went into lockdown, so I don't know if they'll even have got to sail her yet. When you buy your first yacht, every day is a school day. You're always learning, but you won't keep learning if you don't push yourself. So I'm actually glad that we took Squadrogrey out that day, even if Liam did lose his hat. Life is boring without adventure. If you want to see more of our sailing videos, hit the subscribe button, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up.